Turning to the threat from North Korea, President Trump says he's ready to stand alone when it comes to taking on the Hermit Kingdom, saying we don't need China's help to, quote, solve issues over North Korea's nuclear program. Let's bring in former Michigan congressman and former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Pete Hoekstra. Congressman, this comment comes ahead of the president meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping later this week. Does this comment help relations with China, help the conversations that will happen this week?
Well, I think it helps the conversation that needs to happen. The president is signaling to China that, he is dissatisfied with the current strategy that's been in place. It's failed for 24 years, and the president has been laying the foundation for this. Some of the first meetings he had were with the prime minister of Japan, the president of South Korea. General Mattis has been in that part of the region talking to those same leaders, signaling to China and to the rest of the world and to North Korea that our strategy that's been in place for 20 years, 25 years has failed. North Korea has developed its nuclear capabilities, its ballistic missile capabilities. That has to stop. It's time for America to act. South Korea, Japan, they're looking for leadership. I don't think America will act alone. I think the South Koreans and the Japanese will be supporting us, and this president is going to go into discussions with China with that unified front.
But he did say that in this article, and I just wonder if we do have to go it alone, if you will, what would that look like?
I think there's a number of options, and I think that's, whether it's economic, different spheres where he can take some type of a military action or whatever. But I think most importantly right now he's looking at economic sanctions, economic pressure, and he's kind of laying it out there for China, saying we need you on board now. You haven't been on board. You have not helped us. So I think everyone has always said the leverage point is China. Now the president is calling on China to use its leverage, otherwise saying we've got to do something else.
Congressman, I feel like on this issue we're in this vicious cycle, and you've played service to that. For decades we've had this cycle. North Korea acts like a petulant child. Sanctions are enacted. China steps in. Everyone backs off. Everything goes. North Korea does it again. How does Trump get Xi to see this cycle needs to be broken one way or the other? What is a convincing argument to make, given that there could be some turmoil from, if you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs? Well, some eggs need to get broken. How does Trump get Xi to see that here?
Well, I think he needs to lay out the facts. I mean, yeah, it has been a cycle, but the one thing that's been consistent throughout that cycle, as the outside players have been trying to influence China, as they've been trying to influence North Korea, is that North Korea continues to develop its capabilities. It's not like it's been stuck in neutral for the last 15 years. It has continued to move forward. Its capabilities are, significantly greater today than what they were 10 years ago. That's what Donald Trump needs to lay out to the Chinese this week and say, they are very close to being a threat to either Hawaii or the mainland United States. We are not going to allow that to happen. We've let them become a threat to South Korea and Japan, but it has to stop.
Congressman, I want to turn to the Middle East. A source telling Fox News that President Trump's son-in-law, who does work in the White House as well, Jared Kushner, is on a surprise trip to Iraq. He's said to be traveling with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Joe Dunford, to see the Iraq situation firsthand and show support for Baghdad. Congressman, we've had some reaction from Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, to name one person, saying that Jared Kushner has too much on his plate. I want to know what you think.
Well, he may have a lot of things on his plate, but I'm glad that he's going over to Iraq, that he's going over to the Middle East. I hope he stops, in Jordan, he stops in Israel, and those types of things. If you want to get a feel for what the situation is on the ground, you're only going to be there for a short period of time. You're not going to come back as an expert, but you're going to know more about it than when you went. And so, meeting with the leaders in this area, meeting with our military commanders, it's going to be very, very helpful. I was on the Intelligence Committee. I visited 80 different countries. You know, I went to Iraq 10 different times. I'm not the world's expert on these countries, but I know a whole lot more than when I went there initially.
Congressman, it was great to see you, as always. We can't cover everything, but we did a deep dive.
Hey, great. Good to be with you. Thank you.
Nice to see you, Congressman Pete Hoekstra.